To the budget by the Liberal Democrats Treasury spokesman Malcolm Bruce MP.
Everyone's a winner. Did you see that? The headline in two of the newspapers after Tuesday's budget. But how did you do? Well, unless you're a top accountant, you probably won't have figured it out yet. Under Labour, the tax system has become hideously complicated, and this budget hasn't made things any simpler. There were, of course, some good policies in the budget. Quite a few from the Liberal Democrat manifesto, actually. Well, that's fine. But there is one very, very big hole at the heart of this budget. Gordon Brown revealed it right at the end of his speech, when he announced that he was cutting 1 penny off the basic rate of income tax. If Gordon Brown had money to give away, should 1 penny off the basic rate really have been his top priority? Liberal Democrats don't think so. It is crazy for Labour to make a tax cut which they didn't promise before they have even delivered on their key election pledges to improve schools and hospitals. Are Labour seriously telling us that all the problems in the health service and education have been solved? The truth is that Gordon Brown made a big mistake in promising only to spend the same as the Tories for 2 years after the general election. That meant that things have actually been getting worse for 2 years. The extra money promised last year will do little more than get us back to where we started. As a share of our national wealth, Labour are actually planning to put a lot less money into public services than John Major's Tory government. No wonder Britain's key public services are still in a mess. Look, for example, at what has happened to the NHS. Under the Tories, waiting lists soared. When Labour took over, there were 1,158,000 people on hospital waiting lists. Labour promised to cut that figure by at least 100,000, but in fact it went up to as high as 1,313,000. And even now, lists are still higher than when Labour came to power. Not only are there now more people on waiting lists, but there are more people waiting just to get on the waiting lists. When Labour came to power, 248,000 people were waiting for over 3 months just to see a hospital consultant. That figure has now increased to a massive 468,000. Frankly, this is a disgrace, and it shows that Labour is not delivering its promises. And Labour are no better on education. Of course, money isn't everything, but Britain needs to invest to build an education system for the 21st century. Yet look at what is going on in our schools. Take Scotland as an example. The government's own figures show that in council after council, education budgets have been axed under Labour. Indeed, 29 out of the 32 Scottish councils have had to make real cuts in their education budgets. Yet, apparently, for Labour, a headline-grabbing tax cut to wrong-foot the Tories was a higher priority this week than delivering for schools and hospitals. Remember that the next time you hear of somebody who needs a hospital bed and there isn't one available. Remember that when you hear of school children struggling to learn in overcrowded and ill-equipped classrooms. Now, this is a very powerful government with good public relations and many friends in the media. Only the Liberal Democrats have been willing to stand up this week and say that Gordon Brown's priorities are wrong. Liberal Democrats say health and education must come first. In this year's elections, you can say that too.
That was a response to the budget by the Liberal Democrats Treasury spokesman Malcolm Bruce